Casey and I have bought a lot of real estate, but we have walked through and considered a lot more. I thought we should talk about what are the things that we are looking through when we are walking through a property. Good, bad, indifferent, make us offer, not offer. Casey, I know you've walked through a lot of property. In fact, you were an agent, so you've seen more property than me probably. But I'm curious, when you are walking through a potential purchase, something you're going to write an offer on, or maybe you wrote an offer and you're in escrow, what are the things that you are looking through? Why don't you go one? We'll play ping pong. You go, I go, a couple rounds.
So first of all, when I first walk into a property, I'm looking for big ticket items. Things are going to need cosmetic. Usually you're going to need to replace some flooring or do some things. I'm looking for red flags, big ticket items that are going to be a no-go right off the bat for a deal. Like I have tons of students that, wouldn't know these things. And so I think it's really important to talk about. And like I mentioned just a second ago before we pushed record, I'm in some of these Facebook groups online and I'm just like eating popcorn with my wine. Like, oh my God, why are people like going all the way through the process of making an offer and holding up their earnest money and paying these very expensive home inspection fees to find out things that I find out in the first 60 seconds of walking through a property. So I'm hoping that this video really helps everybody out. So everyone save this one. Okay, so the first thing that I do is I don't even walk inside. I walk outside first before I even walk in the front door. And the first thing that I'm looking for is exterior. I'm looking for, and we'll ping pong. So my first one is slope and drainage. Is there a negative grade to the property? Is there water pooling up, especially on the East Coast, the Midwest, where there's basements? I'm not excited about seeing a leaky basement and crumbling foundation walls and all that. So I'm looking for a negative slope. I'm looking for where's the water going? I'm looking for the backyard. Is it sloping down towards the house in a big rain? Is the water going to come in the house, in the garage? So I'm looking for drainage.
Oh, I like that. I'll stay outside as well. Again, love that negative slope. Again, that's something I look for as well. I'll talk about the windows, right? One of the things, again, I buy a lot of older homes in Central Valley, and I'm looking at the windows, right? Single pane, or do they still work up, down, side to side? Sometimes, you can, especially if you're renting out to Section 8 tenants, if you're not careful, you can get called out and have to replace the windows. So again, windows can be very, very pricey. Just because they're there doesn't mean they have to be replaced. And again, if you're doing a burr project, back to your kind of wine and popcorn, if you're not budgeting for $400 or $500 a window and you've got, 17 windows, that's a big miss. So one of the things I definitely look for is windows.
Yeah. And I love that. And people think, well, what I see a lot is people say, oh, they're windows. They're not cracked. They look,
they're not cracked.
Well, that's great that they're not cracked, but you got to think about it. If they don't open and close, if the springs are broken, if the tracks are messed up,
it doesn't lock up.
Windows, if they're vertical windows, they don't stay up and they fall down. That is a hazard. People, and if they're painted shut to the point, and you can get windows unpainted shut. You can, I have razor blade and get the rubber mallet and pound them out. But sometimes they're just the spring mechanisms are very old and they're broken. They need to be replaced. Like you said, very expensive, and tenants have to be able to exit.
Absolutely.
Okay? I know. And so in California, we opened our windows, right? Great weather, open. In the South, and I didn't realize this until I moved here, you don't open your windows. You don't open your windows. It's either too hot or too cold. So you don't. But they still have to open because if there's a fire, tenants have to be able to get out. You don't want to be sued because they couldn't get out. So anyways, yes, windows. All right. So my next one, staying outside, are trees. So trees. So again, in most parts, we've had a tree fall on one of our rental houses while we were in California at my sister's. I think my sister and best friend's wedding. I forget whose wedding it was. It was several years ago. Tree fell on the house. Me and the kids were already out there. Blake still was here, hadn't left yet. He was supposed to get on the plane the next morning to come out. He had to put a tarp on the roof. We had to do what we could do. We had to use insurance for an emergency. It's a huge storm, tree on the house because we were leaving out of town. So trees blow. So the problem with trees, and you don't realize this if you don't live in a heavily wooded area. So coming from California, at least SoCal, there's not tons of trees. You don't really think about trees being a problem, especially if you're investing out of area into an area with tons of trees. the South, the Midwest, every other part of the country except for the West Side has trees. The problem with trees are that one, huge limbs, not branches and sticks, limbs fall on your roof and poke holes in your roof. That sucks. The other one is they grow, their roots grow under your foundation and they crack your foundation. They can fall on your house. My mother-in-law lives down the street. She has 2 huge oak trees. And during one storm, the ground was so wet that it just fell over. The biggest tree you've ever seen. Now, good thing I fell over in the street and not on our house. But that also made the tree next to it that's still there weak because the underground root systems work together. So we're still kind of worried about that tree. So worry about trees. They're very expensive to remove depending upon their location. Are they close to the house in the backyard? You're going to need a crane. That just made the price go up. If they're in the front yard, and you can use a bucket truck, or you can get some guys that come with some, do it manually. Okay, that's cheaper, but you can expect for a regular tree anywhere from $3,500 to $7,000 to remove. So I'm looking for, do I have to remove trees?
Yeah, trees are a big deal. I'm glad you brought that one up. I remember there was a time, 2010 to 2014. Again, that was obviously the Great Recession, lots of foreclosures. Again, there were lots of trees that frankly weren't getting watered because these houses were vacant for 6, 9, 12 months. And what happens if you don't know is trees don't like to die. The root system seeks out water and eventually they'll crack, the sewer lines. And guess what happens once you do a great new remodel, right? You spend 20 grand remodeling it. Somebody moves in and guess what? They start using the water and facilities. And then those little tree roots expand and pop. I don't remember. I want to say 7. It might have been 9 houses in a row where the sewer line popped within 6 months. And that's an $8,000 hit each time. Right? Because they got to dig it out to the street. There was actually multiple cracks in most of them. Because again, the tree was starving and it was seeking out water. And then you turn the water on and the roots grew. And yeah, that was not good. So yeah, get trees away from the house is highly recommended. So we'll go inside now. Again, some of the houses I buy are pretty old. I'm going to the corners of the house looking for cracks. I'm also looking for fresh paint, to be honest. Because again, a lot of times when people are selling houses, they will give it a fresh coat of paint, which is cosmetic and hiding cracks. So again, one of the things that I look for is, why is this one bedroom painted and none of the others? Right? These are just the little signs that maybe the seller has thrown some lipstick on the pig, if you will. And then I will dig in further because again, it's not that if the house is sloped, it's a huge problem, but I want to know about it. I want to know if it's, above or below a certain grade point. Do I have to fix it? Do I have to put in, posts underneath the house? I just want to make sure my budget and price point is appropriate because again, I have bought houses where I've had to spend as little as 5 and sometimes 15 grand to, level the house. And if you're not budgeting for that up front, that's a big surprise because I can guarantee you this, a level house is not going to get you more rent. So that's just wasted money. So budget.
Yeah, exactly. Those are things that you have to pay a lot for. And that's why flippers, I'm not so excited about them because they'll do the cosmetics, but they leave all the expensive stuff, all the guts of the property undone. And when you fix that up, it doesn't increase the value at all. So, but to piggyback on your cracks, I mean, I look for cracks through rooms, room to room cracks. Going into the garage, if there is a garage, because that's, you can kind of see the subfloor, right? You see in the garage, if there's tons of cracks. My favorite, we love to go through open houses. And there was this like $1 million house. And in the middle of the kitchen, going to the living room, this huge crack on the tile, all the way from the kitchen to the living room. And I'm like,
not good.
That's not good, and step cracks outside if the house is made of brick. I know in California, it's a lot of stucco, but out in the South and the Midwest and the rest of the country, brick homes. So if you can see 1/4-inch gap step cracks all the way around the house, that's also a problem. So cracks are in. What else do I have? Oh, okay. We mentioned the sewer line. So one of the things that I check is the water pressure. So there have been a lot of times where I have heard of people's tenants moving in and all of a sudden their toilets and bathtubs are backing up. Maybe there was a single person that lived there and now you've got a family of 5. So what I do, let's say I'll do my quick 5-minute walkthrough of the house, sometimes 30 seconds. I mean, I can tell real fast if I want to make an offer or not. If I'm interested and I have time, I will turn on, I kind of do my home inspection like as much as I can up front. I will turn on all the water. You know, I will flush all the toilets, to run all the sinks, bathtubs, showers, and turn on the dishwasher, washing machine. I will run it. I want all the water running at the same time. And then I'm going to look in the bathrooms and I'm going to see, is water backing up in the bathtub? You know, am I hearing gurgling? You know, if I go outside, is the front yard smushy? I'm looking for a nice, clean main drain line. I want to make sure that everything can drain, because to your point, those main drain lines are very expensive and they're going to fail eventually. And the older homes have clay pipes, the trees get in their tree roots, they can crack. You can only fix them so much. They have so many solutions out, hydrojet, this, that, the other. Last year, we had a main drain line failure. Now, one of our properties, there's kind of 2 lines. One goes from the toilet to the street. The other one does everything else. We had quotes of $20,000 to replace and fix. So we had this other guy that would work with us and do some things. And we were able to reroute some of the plumbing lines, but we had to dig up the driveway. It was either go through the kitchen. Okay. Now that would mean displacing our tenants and taking apart, you know, the kitchen, right? Because you have to access the floor and all the plumbing and everything, and digging up through the house. So we were able to circumvent that, move pipes, you know, move how everything was going, go through the wall, but we still had to dig up part of the driveway. But at least our tenants could stay there, and they couldn't use the kitchen for, you know, a week. So, and it was still very pricey. The main drain line to me is the biggest surprise most investors have, because they'll check for everything. You'll know how old your HVAC is and all the things, but they don't do a sewer scope when they do a home inspection. Yeah, they don't want to pay the extra $100. Yeah. So expensive lesson.
Yeah, I'll give you one that you can actually save some money on. Again, a lot of the houses I buy are older, and like you go inside the kitchens and they're the old avocado green or, you know, whatever. But one of the things I always do is look at the cabinets, and not necessarily the cabinet hardware or the door, but I want to look at the boxes, right? They don't make them like they used to. So, you know, as long as the boxes are good, right? You know, I know a lot of people going like, oh, just rip the kitchen out, replace it. I'm like, that's a lot of money that you could put somewhere else. So again, I think too many people throw away, you know, value in those old, you know, the boxes. So that's something that can actually save some money. I've seen so many people go in and just walk in the kitchen, go, oh, that's ugly, rip it out. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? That's bonkers.
I know. Another thing I look for, which I don't know if other people do, but I look for heavily or overly textured walls and ceilings. Because nothing says cheap to me and undesirable than a really heavily textured wall or ceiling. Personally, I think smooth walls and smooth ceilings give the appearance of a newer property. And people may ask, God, is that new drywall? Or wow, it looks so nice, you know? But I see this a lot in Florida, very heavily textured with gloss, you know, or semi-gloss ceilings, not even just in the bathrooms. I mean, the living room, you got the swirly texture and then this huge knockdown on the walls. It's ugly, and it takes a lot of money and time to smooth out walls. So I'd have to really consider a property if most of the property had heavy textured walls and ceilings, because it's very expensive and time consuming to smooth those out. I know it's not a normal thing, but that's something I look for.
Yeah, the last thing I'll highlight here, we'll give you one more. The last one I look at is I go to the main breaker panel, and I try to figure out what's going on there. Has it been upgraded? Is it the old way? Right, because those old breaker panels are frankly fire hazards, and I want to make sure I never want to have a product that's somebody's life threatening. So I'm always going to the breaker panel, opening it, and going, oh, they ought to replace this one, add some more, you know, fuses or whatnot, amperage. And again, if you're not budgeting for that up front, again, it doesn't get you any more rent, but it is certainly a hell of a lot safer. So you got to make sure you're catching some of the big items.
All right. So my last one is, and we're kind of going back outside, but it's not just the roof, right? The big question is people say, well, how old is the roof? How old is the roof? Well, that's not the only thing you need to look at out there. And besides the window frames and the sills and all of that, you need to look at under the roof, the fascia board, where Chevy Chase hangs its Christmas lights. Okay. Not all, and this is wild, but not all roofs are closed systems. Some of them are open and they don't have flashing. They don't have fascia boards. And guess what gets in there? Animals, right? Squirrels, rats, mice, birds, cockroaches, bugs, spiders, getting in your house, making a home. So I want to see no roof rot. I don't want to see fascia board rot. I want to see flashing. I want to make sure that the roof is old, cool. Like I can replace a roof. I'm not worried about
that's not the issue. Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'd rather have a new roof because I don't have to worry about it for at least 20 years of no leaks and no big deal.
Yep.
But if I have to go replace deck boards and fascia board and siding because there's rot and there's animals living in there and water damage because there is no gutters or flashing or all the edging things, that is extra funds. That's extra money and extra cost. So that's something that I think people don't look at. They don't look to see if it's enclosed and if there's no water damage. All they really look for and ask is, how old is the roof? But it goes beyond the roof age and into making sure that all the wood around it is in good shape.
Yeah, I'll give you one last one. In the bathrooms, get in the middle of the room and almost jump up and down. See if its subfloor is springy or spongy, depending on how you want to.
Good one.
Yeah, if you want to think about that, because again, there are signs of water damage that you can't see. But again, if wood gets soft, it'll get a little springy, and that could be, subfloors can be expensive. Casey, you do a lot of amazing stuff. Where can people find you?
People can find me on YouTube every week. I'm putting out a new video or two. Brick by Brick Wealth. You can check me out on Instagram, Brick by Brick Wealth. And if you're interested in getting coaching or learning more about my cake method, you can find a free masterclass on my website, brickbybrickwealth.com.
Thank you so much.